Welcome to Anything podcast with Gilbert, and I am here joined by Willo Boniface. Is that correct?
That's correct. Thank you
Sure,
for having
sure.
me. So good to meet you.
I'm excited. I'm excited for this one because it's basically women-centered. So I think we all love our women. So I'm sure everyone who's going to listen this is pretty much going to be excited as I am as well to listen to what you have to say. So welcome,
Oh,
anyways, welcome.
thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so we could just get right into it, and I think the start will only be right to tell us a little bit about yourself, basically.
Thanks, Gilbert. Uh, my story will make my what I'm currently doing make so much more sense. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was raised in Australia, and
yeah.
my parents were both principals, and so
Okay.
my mom in particular just spoke so much into me when I was growing up. Like, you can do anything, you can be anything you want to be, you know?
Yeah.
And I had no idea the impact that that would have on me at a young age. But I remember vividly a point when I was in high school and I was choosing the subjects that I wanted to do for
Yeah.
like the senior years. And I really loved science and I wanted to do more science. And I went and I had a conversation with the head science teacher, and he basically said, like, advised me not to do science because I
Okay.
only had like intermediate math level. And he said, no, no, don't do it. And when I came out of that meeting, I was a bit deflated, obviously. And my mom, I remember her like squared my shoulders up and said, Willow, never let anyone tell you you can't do something. And I like, it still makes me emotional thinking about that at that time, because I was so deflated and she just spoke into me at the right moment. And I remember those words, and I was like, she goes, whatever you need, like, we will support you, you can do this. And she backed me at that point. And I went on and I did science, and then I went on and did a degree in nanotechnology. Like, I chose the hardest science at the time to do.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then I took a year break, and then I went on and did a PhD in medical bionics. And
Okay.
it's a fascinating story to think about, because I wonder now, like towards the end of that study period,
Yeah.
whether I chose science because I loved it so much or because I was proving someone wrong, you know? And
True.
so that's interesting. But I guess from then I went and did, I took a bit of time off because I needed to decompress after a PhD, which is a really hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Me and my now husband went and traveled. We did some backpacking, and then I came back and did some time in corporate Australia. So I spent 5 years there.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and then I did another 5 years in the higher ed sector. And that brings me, I guess, to what I'm doing now, which is my business, and it is all about helping women be have an amazing life as well as smash it in their career.
And
So I mean, I keep
the
going.
the switch is amazing, basically from the nanotechnology, from basically just technology to like focusing on women. That switch, was there like a moment in life where like a major event happened and you like instantly you thought this is not what I'm supposed to be doing, so let me refocus myself
Yeah,
or something. What was that
yeah.
what
So
was that moment like?
yeah, there's been a couple of moments. So,
Okay.
but I mean, shifting from science to corporate, I think even the idea that I can do anything, like, if I remember thinking vividly, there was this moment when I was doing my PhD, and it was the hardest thing. It was just like a hectic thing, like theory around electrochemistry. And it
Yeah.
was so hard conceptually to get my head around it. And I remember thinking, if I can learn this, I can learn anything. And if I can do this, like, if I can do this PhD, I can do anything. And so when it came to like switching careers and making big change, it sort of felt like it wasn't like I knew I could do it, right? But I guess in terms of figuring out what I'm currently doing and how I'm helping women now, I think that moment was probably the biggest one that you're talking about. And I think
Mm.
that came it was like the trifecta for me. I found out that I was made redundant. And so like there was an organizational restructure at my work, and my position was made redundant. And so there's that sort of financial uncertainty.
Yeah.
I also at the same time found out I had like precancerous cells and had to have a hysterectomy. And so there was my health, there was uncertainty there. And then I had my extended family. There was a lot of relationships that were blowing up. And it all just came down on me in one moment. And I've never felt like I've been an anxious person, but at that moment, I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I can't even,
Yeah.
like, how do I handle this? And it really made me zone in on what I could control and what I couldn't control. And I've always, even though I've been studying science this whole time, I've always had a lot of interest and focus on human potential. And I've done a lot of reading and a lot of research in my own time and invested in myself in that way. So I sort of, really had the moment where I had to really focus on myself to be well. And while all of this happened which was out of my control. And the biggest thing was my health, I think. Like a scare like that, especially quite young, was enough to shock me and go, you know what, this life is fleeting and you don't know how long you've got. And so I'm going to make the most of it. And if I'm going to make the most of it, I'm going to do exactly what I want to do. And so now I get to do, like, I come off coaching calls with these amazing women, and I just feel like alive. There's no other way to say it. Like, I
Yeah,
know that I'm meant to be
exactly.
doing
Yeah.
this. Yeah. Yeah.
That's so cool. So basically, how is you talking to women, and then this whole process? How does the process start? Do these women then just come to you, or what is that like?
Yeah.
How do you basically do you find women to, get in contact with you, and then what's the process basically?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, I put a lot out on social media. Like, I'm doing a decent amount of marketing, and I also have a lot of contacts from my time in science and in my corporate career. I've got a lot of, like, a broad network at a global broad network, and
Yeah.
so it's been a lot of people that have already know me and trust me. Came on early, and then they've like referred people, and then I'm just getting people in with marketing and putting myself out there a bit, and obviously having conversations like this.
Yeah.
It might just resonate with someone when we're speaking
Sure.
about what my story is, and that's how it all happens. So it's rolling that way.
Sure. That's fine. That's fine. So when you mostly what are the issues that you basically focus on, women wise, when you then get one coming to you? What sort of problems do they come to you with? Is there like a specific thing women you're helping women in, that's like a major problem that you've noticed around?
Yeah. Well, I think, to come back to, you asked about my moment. A
Yeah.
lot of my clients have their own moment where they're like, I cannot do this anymore. I'm so done, and I don't know. Like, I just want help to move forward, and that might look like overwhelm and stress with their work, or it might be a parenting thing, and at home is feeling out of whack, and they just feel like they just need help to move forward. And so, but what I'm seeing women who want a big career, but they also want the balance, a balance, and to be able to be present with their partner and their kids. And it's very hard to have all that. And you're getting pulled in a million different directions. I feel a lot of them saying, I feel like my time is dictated to me. Like, I don't get to choose how I spend my time. It's just, I'm pulled into meetings, I'm pulled into, and you're chasing kids, dropping them off at
Yeah.
sport and school and all of this stuff. Like, just as a woman and as a mother, you're just pulled in a million different directions. And I guess the work we do is a lot of habit building around prioritizing yourself and bringing it back to you. And I think, I talk about women and I speak into women so much because I find that people, like, women want that ambitious career, but and even wanting to step into leadership roles and things like that. And they're like, in their heart, they know they can do it, But when they look and there's a lot of men in these roles and
Yeah.
they can't see themselves in those leadership roles because the actual role doesn't allow the flexibility that they need. And so they start doubting themselves to go, well, actually, can I thrive there? Like, am I just going to have to sacrifice my relationships and my children to thrive there? And in that case, that's not what I want. And so part of it is empowering women to keep knocking on that door and getting their life in a beautiful state so that they're like, what I talk about is glowing. And I think we touched on this when we first started talking,
Yeah, sure.
Gilbert. You know, when I mean, what do you think about when you see a woman glowing? Like, what comes to mind for you?
So basically, I think women that glow, I think are basically women that have like found what they want to be doing and are happy in like a situation they're in. Basically, whether it's motherhood or just being in a home, happy family, happy husband, of course. So I think basically for me, when I look at women that are glowing, it's mostly mothers. I think I've seen the most pure women just glowing and very happy, and I think it's all centered around family. I don't know about single women that are not married or with like kids that are like, I haven't met so many to where a point they've told me, oh, this is it's because of this, it's because of my career. I think motherhood is basically there for me. I don't know if
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's really interesting reflection. And everyone sort of has their own idea of what glowing is. But like
yeah,
the way I sort of define it is someone who is confident and happy and energized. And I think when, like, and that obviously motherhood, I'm so passionate about because I am a mother. And a lot of the women
yeah,
I help are mothers. And so I just find that, and especially the getting that balance right and feeling like motherhood just has a beautiful way of stripping a lot from you. It takes
yeah,
a lot, right? And so then
yeah,
it's building that back up is the beauty, and and you're a different version of you. You're not like, as soon as you become a mother, you're a different human. I don't know.
yes,
It's like,
yes,
yeah,
basically.
you got to rediscover yourself. But I think, you know, in terms of glowing, like it's for any human as well. Like I work with men as well, and it's the same concept. Like if you're confident and happy and energized, and there's a lot to do with the value that you add and your purpose in life and all of that stuff. But when you see someone glowing and they're just in their element, it's like they're magnetic, and they walk into a room and you think, damn, like
Yeah,
you can
exactly.
see
No,
it. Like,
exactly.
right?
Yep, yep.
You can't put your finger on what it is. It's not even like, that's why I actually struggle with the word glow, because I feel like it's so corny. But I'm also like, I can't think of a better word to
A
describe
better
someone who
word.
encompasses like all
Yes,
of that.
yes.
Yeah. And I
So
think
that,
if we, yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
continue,
sorry,
continue.
I think if we, sorry, I could go on a roll about this.
Yeah,
If we think
please.
about
That's
like
that's what you're here
women,
for. That's what you're here for. So this, yeah.
and like if we think about a woman who wants to be a leader or wants to step into the next level of her career,
Mm,
especially as a mother, right? And
yeah,
we can get her glowing and then stepping forward. It's like her glow there is, I mean, every person's glow is contagious. It's like happiness is contagious. You smile at someone and they smile back. And, you know, if we can get more women in these positions, like imagine the ripple effect that that can have, you know? So
true.
that's why I do what I do.
True, true, true. So to our listeners, mostly women, that are listening and are sort of unsure where life is going and like almost want to glow as well, gain the confidence to walk into a room and just, glow, basically let the light shine. What are like some of the steps you recommend to most women to like, hey, do this, get into this, and you might start to see some glow? Could we maybe
Yeah.
discuss that? Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's easier than it like seems, to be honest with you.
Oh, no.
I mean, we do a bunch of mindset work. Like there's a lot of self-worth work that goes into it.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, there are like three key habits that I help my glowers, I call them glowers, my glowers do. And that is like move their body every day. And so that is something that many women do, but it's and they might like smash it at the gym or something like that. But I talk about something that you can do on your worst day. So if you are absolutely exhausted and tired and just completely depleted, if you can think of one way to move your body every day that just fills up your cup, that's what we focus on to build as a habit. And so for me, that's walking.
So that will be even exercises?
Yeah, any movement. Yeah.
Any movement.
Like
Okay.
stretching, I think outside. I mean, we live in Australia and it's really beautiful outside. So I always try and be outside and walking every single day. And so that's one. And then the other ones are affirmations. So this is where your confidence really comes from when you speak into yourself. I think many women have negative self-talk. I mean, many people have negative self-talk. And if we can change that around to be affirming internal dialogue, that can really incredibly build self-confidence. And so when you think about walking into a room confidently, rather than thinking perhaps people are looking at me or what am I going to say or any of that stuff, being like, no, I deserve to be here. I'm like, my shoulders are back. I'm standing confidently. I'm here taking up space, right? So that all comes from that internal dialogue and making sure that that is so affirming. The third one is gratitude. And so I practice gratitude every single day. I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for. And that is, it feels like it's something like, of course I'm grateful, like, but there's like intentional gratitude and there's gratitude. And so the way I explain it is like, when you travel to another country, everyone, I think, always goes, I'm so grateful for my home. You know, when you're traveling to another place that's just foreign and you're seeing all these amazing things, but when you get home, it's like, I'm home, and that feels good. And you just feel, in that moment, you feel very grateful for your home. And what I'm talking about though, because that can be fleeting. It can be like, I feel when you walk in the door and like, oh, my bed, my just whatever it is that makes you feel grateful for that in that moment, but it tends to not last very long. And sometimes if you take yourself back to your holiday, then you're like, oh, that's right, I'm so grateful to be here, or whatever it is. But when you're intentionally grateful every single day, that means you're grateful for, obviously the people in your life,
exactly.
Just anything. And I think I had this moment when I was sort of really started practicing gratitude in my life, and I had a glass of water like on my table on the back of my house here. It was a hot day. I just had this moment of profound gratitude for this glass of water. Like, I'd just been to a country where it wasn't so easy to come by a bottle of water, let alone a cold bottle of water, right? And just having the most profound, like, out-of-body experience around this glass of water, that it came to be in my house, in a fridge. It's clean to drink. Like, the infrastructure of my whole, like, our society here is so different. And I don't know, I just had this amazing moment of gratitude.
I hear it. Yeah. And I think gratitude basically it's almost the small things, just, you get to look at the small things and then you're grateful for them, and I hear you on that one.
Yeah. And so if you can practice that every single day, that's where your happiness comes from. We can want so much in this life. We can think that, we're still working towards our goals and our dreams. And I tell you, I say this often, like, you think about a younger version of you dreamed that you would maybe start a podcast or do something, have where you live and have a partner and kids if you're blessed to have children, and you have that now, and you're still pushing for what you want, but taking a moment to be grateful for everything that this younger version of you dreamed up that you're now living. We tend to sometimes miss celebrating what we currently have. And I think gratitude, and there's a quote here, I've got it on my wall. It says, gratitude turns what we have into enough. And that's by Melody Beattie. I just love that quote because that's so true.
That's so true. That's so true. And that's the beauty about having gratitude basically in oneself. It's almost every time you walk out of your house or apartment, whatever it is, it's almost you're grateful. Even just waking up is like it's a moment. It's a big moment, you know. So I hear you. That's for the
Yeah.
women. We're talking women, by the way. So yeah, we can go on. Is there any other points you have towards that?
Well, I think, but this is for everybody. This isn't gendered in terms of these habits that you could build into your life.
Sure.
There's no
Sure.
gender there. That
But
is
but we're focusing
universal.
on women today. We're focusing on women. Yeah, sure, sure,
Yeah.
sure.
We are. Well, they're the main things, I would say. So if you can move your body and you can, that's your energy. If you
Yes.
can practice gratitude, that's your happiness. And if you can affirm yourself,
Affirm.
that is
Yes.
your confidence. And that's the trifecta. I feel like that's the magic combo. But one thing I would say to mothers, especially if you've got young children,
Yeah.
they have the most beautiful way of inviting you into their world. And sometimes we can be busy and we can put all of the tasks and all the things that we have to do. And we're like, yeah, I'll come in a minute. I've just got to do insert whatever task, right?
Yeah.
And they will stop inviting us soon. It won't last long. And
True.
then, so we have this beautiful moment. If you just get intentional about how you want, like you think about the relationship you want to have with those kids when they're young adults or adults or whatever for the rest of your life, though if you think about, like, zoom out and think about that, then it makes those moments very important. And if you can just say yes to those and just say yes for 5 minutes every single day to your kids to be in their world, that will be, and same with your partner. And I think that's for everybody. If we can just prioritize them, give them our 100% attention for 5 minutes every single day, that will be the best part of your day, 100%.
Sure.
Because they'll,
I hear you. I think we could get into motherhood a little. I would like to get into that a little. How's the experience? And how's glowing as a mother like?
oh, you know what? It's are you a parent, Gilbert? Have you
No, no,
kids?
no, no.
No, okay.
I'm looking forward to the time when I can have my own kids. So not yet though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. It is a wild ride.
Yeah.
But one thing that it feels like to glow when you've got when you've got kids. The biggest part is actually because the kids can guilt trip you into going like, don't go. Like I'll go out for my walk, right?
Yeah.
Every morning I go out for my walk. And at the start they were like, don't go, mom. And it's easy to go, oh, they don't want me to go.
Mm.
And you got to get really good at that, getting boundaries around that and just go, actually, I got to go. Because I'm like, you look at me now. I've said this to my kids. Look at me right now and like read my energy. I'm coming back in 1 hour and then you can look at me again and see the difference you see. And so I was like tired and just heading out. I'm going, went for my walk and I came back and they were like, could see the difference. Like I was energized. I was happy. I filled up my cup. I listened to a great podcast. I listened to some music. I went for a swim in the ocean, which I'm blessed to have just here. And I'm like,
Okay.
I came back and I was happier and more energized. And so that means I can pour into them when they say to me, come and play with me, mom.
Yes.
I'm like, yeah, I've got energy to do that. Right? That's actually the biggest piece of it. We feel selfish for taking time for ourselves as mothers. And I think it's the most selfless thing you can do because it means you've got so much more to show up with. It's just wild. Honestly, motherhood is is a wild. And you know what? Fatherhood is wild as well. It's just like
True.
I see my husband, it's constantly figuring out boundaries and then trying to, raise good humans, and everyone just does the best with what they've got. But I think if you're glowing and parenting at the same time,
Yes.
right? You're showing your kids, you're showing them that it doesn't have to be a stress ball to have an amazing career and be a parent.
True.
We're modern parents in a very modern world that's full of distractions, to be able to go hold your own, hold your space, hold energy for yourself and for your beautiful like people that you've decided that you've brought into this world. Then you've got a beautiful home life, which means you're unstoppable. I think when you've got all that shit in place and excuse me, when you've got all of that, those mechanics right in your life, then you can show up to places that like work and you can be like, you know what, I've got overflow, I've got energy for this.
Yeah.
This isn't depleting me. I've got a full cup and it is overflowing. There's no depletion in my life.
And you have
And I
to
think
pour
that,
it somewhere. Of course, when you overflow, you pour it, yeah, towards the kids, of course.
yeah, yeah. It's different from, and I know many parents who will listen to this, every parent knows depletion. Like, especially those early years, it is like, I got nothing left and nothing left in the tank. And you think, and you find it from somewhere. But I think the trick is to never get to depletion. Always prioritize yourself to be full and to be overflowing as best that you can. It's nearly a responsibility, I would say.
Okay. How many kids do you have?
Two. I've got two. I've got a little boy who is 7 and a little girl who is 5.
Okay, how's that like on a day-to-day basis? Who's the chaotic one?
Well, it's pretty chill here. Like
Really?
yeah, they're good kids. I think we've really, I feel really proud how we're raising them,
Mm.
and they know what we expect. And you know what? Actually, I had this conversation with someone the other day, and maybe future parenting advice for you,
Yes,
Gilbert.
sure,
But like,
sure.
you're not like, you don't know how to parent before you start parenting. They don't. Everyone says they don't come with a manual, and I'm like, and they said, oh, people scoff at the parenting books, right? And the parenting experts. And I'm like, I will, if I don't know something, like I'm a researcher, right? I'm a scientist.
Yes, yeah,
At heart,
exactly.
I'm a scientist. And so I'm like, give me all the information, give me all the tools. And so I remember those early years where you started there, really started to push boundaries and do all that. I would read from the experts and go like, what do they do? What do they recommend us do? And so all of that investment in learning and getting tools available to parent means now we've got kids and it's meant to be chaotic, but it feels chill and calm. And
True.
they're also vital parts, right? So one of the things that comes about from this work, like I work with one woman in a family, and because she's overflowing and glowing, it raises the whole family. And if she's
Exactly.
experiencing anxiety right beforehand, she's got anxious kids and they're vibing off her. And so to have one woman flourish is just an immediate impact on her immediate family, and it just flows from
Yes,
there.
yes, yes.
So I know my kids vibe off our energy, and I can see that. And I
Yeah,
see even, you know, it's not perfect all the time, don't get me wrong. But I see like sometimes my husband will be stressed or not feeling it, right? And I can see that and go, what do you need? Like I go to, as much as I prioritize myself, I expect him to prioritize himself as well. And I'm like, what do you need? You need 5 minutes at least. So I've got whatever you're doing because I've got more patience for this right now. So if you want to take a breather and go do something for yourself, like it's better for you to do that and come back fresh than
sure.
keep pushing on, you know? Yeah.
Sure. No, I hear you. I hear you. So yeah, I wanted us to discuss a bit of how women and careers are coming into together to almost work in harmony, basically, because I can imagine having a hectic work life and then coming home and then you have to, how does that work, basically?
Yeah. So actually, one of the I'm glad you asked. It's one of the pieces of the puzzle is that when you start doing these habits, right? The movement, the gratitude, the affirmations, they sound like quite small things to implement in your life,
Yeah.
but they create an immense amount of spaciousness. So just even carving out that time to do something for yourself feels like a Caribbean cruise, right? For a busy woman. It just feels like amazing
Exactly.
every single day. And
Exactly.
so, yeah, getting that balance between like career and being a parent, like yeah, coming home and feeling, like you've still got some energy left in the tank to
Yeah.
give.
Yeah.
That all comes from those key habits. And it just creates such spaciousness. I do this a lot with my clients. Like, something comes in and it feels heavy or it feels like it's encroaching on you. Like, just, get some beautiful. We talk about boundaries a lot. We talk about priorities. And it's amazing how much we can, and everybody can live out of alignment with what they're true priorities are. If you ask someone, like if I ask you, Gilbert, like what are your priorities in your life? You know, feel free to answer or not, but if you define what they are, then but then do you live in alignment with that? Do you prioritize the things that you tell me are your priorities?
Sorry?
Like, you know, I mean, this is just a general question,
Yeah,
like a
sure, sure.
general spectrum,
Sure.
right? So for everybody, you have your priorities and you can quite easily identify what your values are, and then as a layer on top of that, what the priorities in your life are then, right? And often with mothers, it is family and it is time to enjoy your life, and it is, yes, career as well. Like it's such a key part of an ambitious woman's identity and our feeling like we're contributing beyond the family as well. Like it's important to us to keep that going. And so once we figure out what the priorities are, sometimes we'll realize that work has trumped all of it. It is completely dominating the whole their whole life, and even, you know, when they're at home still thinking about work, like haven't properly decompressed from the day or transitioned well to come home. Like maybe they're still carrying the tension of the day and then bringing that back into parenting and to being a wife, or a partner, and then still carrying whatever they're carrying from work. That makes the home life a bit abrasive as well.
Sure, sure.
And then they might do the like smash through the being at home piece, and then they're back to doing more work because there's no boundaries there around their time. And so that's sort of many times when I first start working with people, this is the story, right? We're working a ridiculous amount to get through an enormous workload, and part of it is saying no. Really going, you know what, I can't keep going at this rate. I'm going to burn out. And then reeling it back and figuring out what you can do and what you can say no to. And of course, then maybe having some hard conversations with work, or at home. Like maybe work, there's too much workload. Maybe home, there's too much workload. Maybe the mental load of running a household and all of that is too much. And so then having an amazing conversation with your partner that's super respectful, that we're equal partners here. Gone are the days where we do everything. Gone are the days we cannot have a big career and do everything at home. And so figuring out just how we can just do that in all areas of their life, to just feel like they're their own identity again and their own woman. Yeah.
Okay. I hear you. I hear you. So basically, it's about having that hard conversation, and so should I say one obviously has to be sacrificed at some point? Is there a point in life where just one of the two has to sort of take a step back a little? Do you think?
Well, I think it ebbs and flows, Gilbert. I really do. Like I think in the early stages of motherhood, your
Oh,
children just need you, right? They're so needy. and and that's okay because you signed up for it and it's just the journey. But once they get a little bit older and a bit more independent, it can flow back to a bit more focus on work. And maybe, you know, every woman gets to find out, and every person gets to find out what that feels like for them. So like I'm talking to the men as well here. My husband works like a 1 FTE, so a full-time role, but he does it in 4 extended days. So he can have 1 day with the kids.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. And I've cherished that. He's done that ever since, you know, our first was born. And he's been, that's been beautiful for our family for him to prioritize that time as well. Like it's not just the woman sacrificing or making adjustments to their work to work around family. Like it needs to be both of us
Both.
doing this. Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. To make it
And
easier for each other as well.
yeah, it's beautiful. Like it's a beautiful balance for our family, but it's very interesting to talk to people. And sometimes it's not the case. Sometimes either a man or a woman anyone works in an environment where it's not so easy to get that flexibility. And some old school thinking around, you know, I know friends of ours, they have a man working in a male dominated industry, and when the child is sick, they say, well, what's your wife doing? And she's also got a huge career that, she's used all of her sick days, and it's like, well, he has sick days for a reason too, or pet caring days. And so really getting on the same wavelength as a husband and wife, and then being able to bring our workplaces along for the ride to say, this is what we need as a family to keep being well and to keep thriving and to keep working in these places. We need this flexibility. So that having the courage to sometimes have those hard conversations at work can come from that glow, that confidence,
Yes.
that energy, going like, actually, this is you feel more like, I know what I need, and everyone knows what they need, but then having the courage to speak up and go, actually, this is exactly what I need. And for a workplace to come along and go, yes, I see you, I can support you. And if they say no, then also having more courage to go, well, is this the place for me? Should I be working here if that's not going to be supported? Because these are my values and these are my priorities.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a beautiful, empowering thing to glow.
True, that's true. That's true. So what do you, so basically we spoke of affirmations and then movement, and then the third one was
Gratitude.
Sorry?
Gratitude.
Gratitude, yes. And this works throughout the board, whether you're in motherhood or single or alone, I'm guessing. Or is there any specific things you could point out for women that don't really have kids yet and pretty much young, basically a teen, basically? To is
Also,
that
yeah.
sure.
Well, I think building those habits early would be brilliant, because then as you move, and not even that you plan to have children, like I know so many women who don't want to have families and they're pushing for their career. And actually, I work with many women who are still balancing, right? They're still, just because they don't have those extra pressures of a family or young children, it doesn't mean that they're not navigating balance from a career, from an ambitious career. And they have their own set of circumstances there sometimes where maybe they don't get priority for different holidays because the parents get the holiday priorities.
Yes.
Because we don't have kids, so you don't need to take your holidays at this point. And so they often, I'm hearing that they're feeling like they're not being heard as well. Or a lot of women who are mothers are going, I need flexibility. And they're like, well, we want flexibility too. And it's like, yes, we should all want flexibility. I think it's just the modern workplace, right? We should all be able to figure out what's going to work best for us to show up our best selves at work.
True.
But I think those habits, the earlier that they are implemented, like for me, I know moving my body, the better. And they can see you through this whole, like whatever your career is. And if that involves also some time where you become a parent and then keep moving forward, whatever it looks like, I think these are fundamental human potential habits, right? And so if we all want to be at our best and experience our own glow, then having those things in place is just beautiful.
True. So is there like do you have like a community of glowing women already where you're from? Is there something you're doing, maybe apart from just teaching women how to do this, maybe like a small community or something?
Yeah, so my community is basically my social media following.
Okay.
Yeah, mainly on socials. And we talk about glowing. I talk about every day I'm releasing like a limiting belief that we might come across and how to turn it into a limitless belief. And just it's just that I find with socials, it depends, like you can really curate it to be something that is completely uplifting, because we spend a lot of time consuming these days. But what I did with my Instagram, I only follow people who are lifting me up. So I can go there and consume things that are like, that feed my soul, that are things that I want to hear, that are just positive news, and people that I want to connect with, sort of thing, rather than following a whole spectrum of people. Like I've been really intentional about what I'm consuming there. And I think social media is can be beautiful in that way, because a lot of people out there have beautiful things to say and beautiful
True.
perspectives to share.
True.
And I think it's our responsibility who we consume and who we follow. And so the community that I'm building is, yeah, about glowing humans. And I think that makes my heart sing for
True.
sure.
That's definitely true. Getting back to motherhood still, as a mother that's glowing, right? What are a few things you've been trying to instill in your kids that, like, just to make sure they get to an age where they eventually get to glow themselves? With
Yeah.
the 3 points that we've named, what are sort of the babyish way in which you're handling your kids in that way?
Well, I love that question. It's so important. And I think so out of the three,
Yeah.
we have a we have some dinner table rules, but because we sit down to eat dinner at the
Okay.
table, and I've got them like framed there, right? And part of it is how we communicate at the dinner table. Like there's a lot of rules around no toys or devices at the dinner table, and we use
Okay.
our manners, all the normal stuff. But then we also have what are you grateful, like we ask the question and we all go around, what are you grateful for today? So already instilling that in our children, just to ask them what they're grateful for, and for them to start even at a very young age thinking about gratitude. And I also ask for an act of kindness. So
Okay.
that can be kindness to, for them, like you've really got to show them what that means. And so they sometimes they'll be walking along, and I know my daughter was walking along and there was a baby in a pram in front of us, and the baby chucked the dummy or the pacifier out, and she ran over and grabbed it and then tapped the mum, who didn't see that the baby had chucked the dummy, and gave it
Yeah.
back to her. And she was so happy with herself. She came back and goes, Mum, that was my act of kindness for today.
Oh,
And
wow.
kids get
Exactly.
it. You
Okay,
know?
exactly.
Yeah. So we do that. We do affirmations. We do the act of kindness, and I also put in there what's something you like. Say something positive about yourself
Mm,
for today, right? So those affirmations are there as well. But we also have
true.
things like, what did you struggle with today? And they can answer that if there's something that came up. And it's just a beautiful, being really intentional about how we communicate at dinner time, because that's the time when we're all together and we're all eating together. So I think having that in place. But in terms of like moving your body, which is the other like keystone
Yes.
habit we spoke
Yes.
about,
Yes.
it's really difficult. Like they're children and they're involved in sport and do all the things, but we can't really. I don't think it's the right thing at the moment to sort of expect them to be doing something regular like a walk or a gym workout or something like that every single day. But the biggest thing that we can do is model it. So they see me go, and they see me come back, and how good I feel. Um, and they see me go, and at the moment I'm going for a swim, and they come back, I come back and I'm drenched. And like, did you go swimming again? And they're like, can we
Yeah.
come?
Ah,
And
yes, true.
right, they see us play sport, and they come to the sidelines and watch us play. And the biggest thing that we can do as parents, I think, is model this beautiful energy that you can have, and this beautiful amount of feeling like alive. I say that to them, like sometimes we're driving on the highway and they're hanging their head out the window, and we do this like we do this blast off thing where we have the windows up, and then we go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off, and all the windows come down, and we're all like, woo, at the window. And it's so
Okay.
good, so good. And we're like, the wind is blasting us.
Sure.
And I've said to them, do you feel alive? And they're like, yeah, I feel alive. And I'm like, how good is that? Like
Exactly.
telling them, labeling it, and making them want to feel that for themselves. I think the biggest thing we can do for our children is model having fun and this glow, because then it shows them how it's done, and they show them, like, I hope that when they're older they can take that on themselves.
True.
But
I think they will. I think that they're in the right hands, basically. So yeah, we're not worried. We're not worried. And so for women that are sort of not glowing at the moment, if they did take the is there like a time frame in which do this for this long, or do this for, is there among the three, is also there like an order in which they could start to want to glow? So what would be the best thing to do first? Is it just trying to move every day, or affirmations,
Yeah.
or gratitude? How do you advise they take up the steps, basically?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question too. We normally do 30 days as the habit building, because then once you get over that and you just do it every single day, I'm talking Saturdays, Sundays, I'm
Mm.
talking it's raining and hailing outside, like wait till the lightning stops and then go. Like wear a hat. There's in just don't listen to your own excuses and get out there and do it, because it will feel. I mean, walking in the rain is amazing for feeling alive, like we just spoke
True,
about.
true.
So yeah, wear a hat like you're wearing. It keeps it out of your eyes. But the point is to go and to do something for yourself. I think the exercise being, or the movement, you're moving your body, is the biggest one. But when you're feeling like really down and out and not glowy at all, that can even be really hard to do, like to get outside. And you might have to tweak it. So we had one woman who was really in a funk, and she was like, I just cannot get outside. And it was in the middle of COVID time as well. I was like, what can you do? This is why I said at the very beginning, what can you do on your worst day? Like and she's like, well, maybe the mornings aren't working for me, because we all have this grand idea that we're going to wake up in the morning and feel energized to walk out or do whatever, run 10 kilometers. And then we
Yeah,
don't do what we said we're going to do. And that's
exactly.
actually the piece of it, right? You make it so low, the ball so low that you do it, because every time you do it, it's actually not about moving your body. It's about getting a run on the board to say, I'm the type of woman who does what I say I'm going to do, and I've got a run on the board for me today. And that's what it is. So this woman in particular was like, this morning stuff is not working for me. I was like beautiful awareness and reflection. Let's make it 10 minutes before you go to bed. And we're going to make it the exact same YouTube video, a 10-minute yoga stretch. It doesn't need to be
Okay.
hardcore. It just needs to be a stretch. And she started doing that and she got it. And now it's still in her life 5 years later or something. And she's, but if we didn't make that tweak, she would have still felt like, oh, I can't even get up and do 10 minutes of stretching every day.
Exactly.
Do you know, put it in the
Yeah.
morning. And
Yeah.
everything we do in terms of glowing, it should feel great. Like it shouldn't feel like something that is hard
Yeah.
or, it's kind of the opposite. Like you sort of think, oh, maybe if I set this hectic exercise regime, if I do that, then I'm going to feel amazing. And you're like, yeah, but if you fail, if you fall off the
What
bandwagon,
happens? Yeah,
it's 10 steps backwards,
exactly.
Nah. And us ambitious women, we're like, we set really big goals and we're really hard on ourselves to get them. But
Yeah.
if you set a low goal and smash that, then you've got to have it. Then you up it a little bit. And then you go, okay, cool, I got that. Now I'm going to up it a little bit, right? And you just keep upping it as your capacity grows and as you expand. I love this. Oh my gosh, Gilbert, I could talk about this for years.
That's what you're here. That's what you're here for. That's what you're here for. Talk, talk. Let's give us everything. Give us everything. We want that. You know.
I love
So
it.
yeah, nah, I love hearing this as well. I love hearing this as well. So are there
Does
like,
it have anything for you? What's
sorry?
coming to your mind? Like you've asked me a lot of questions, but what's coming up for you? What are you thinking?
I'm basically agreeing. I'm basically agreeing. And I think on the three things you've stated, I think affirmations are things I haven't yet gotten into. And
Mhm.
hopefully I do get into it. And at this point, my happiness is basically centered around trying to have my own family. Yeah, I haven't told this to a lot of people, but like I think I've seen how my dad just raised his kids, and I think I'm ready to get into that space and just be that, glow and make sure it's almost like it's an achievement now in my head. It's almost like raising someone is like the achievement I'm looking forward to, because chasing your career over and over, trying to, getting locked up in this careers, it's almost like, how long will that go for? So then there's like, oh, let me start a family and then, pour basically my happiness, my glow into someone, So that's
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the happiness I've been looking into as well. I can't wait, basically. So I'm in the
Yeah.
process. I'm in the process.
Oh, well, I wish you so much love and
Yeah,
on your journey to parenthood. Like it's a wild ride, but I tell you what, like I get that. I get the piece where you want to impart so much into a little person. It brings you so much joy, so much
true,
joy.
true. It's also just realizing not it's also just realizing on my part is not everyone's going to change the world, basically. You're just not going to wake up and have like this impact that changes the world. But what you do have in control is actually changing, someone's life, and which is maybe your son or your daughter. So it's
Yeah.
realizing that's where real impact is going to come from. Or you might change the world, who knows? But like for the meantime, you do have the control to, impact someone's life. And that could be a son, that could be a daughter, whichever it is. So that's how I've been
That's
looking at things of late.
Yeah, I love that. And
Yeah, sure.
pouring into yourself as well is the beauty of it because without giving yourself the grace and the beauty of and feeling
Yes,
alive and feeling your glow,
yes,
like you will then show up for the best version of you
exactly.
for your kids.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's about first glowing, basically, figuring out yourself, doing the three, basically. And then, yeah, eventually, once you're in a space where, like yourself, you have kids, I think it's much more easier. I think parenting, from the research I've done, I think once you're not glowing, it's also a problem in the kids' lives as well. Because, like you said, you might go to work, come back, and you're completely depleted. And, kids don't really understand. I would like to say I for one never used to understand. My dad coming home, he's a bit tired, and all you're thinking is what's going on. They
Yeah.
they still want you to bring your A game to the house, and then if you're completely depleted, you're not glowing, it's a problem. It's a problem.
Yeah,
It could,
absolutely. Actually, one of the things that came up for me just then when you were talking is like a transition between home and family. And this is even if you're like, if you've got a partner who you're trying to create a family with, dropping your work energy and leaving it,
yeah,
and even changing clothes or having some transition between work and home. It could be the drive and listen to some music and let the workday go. But to then show up, and I feel like those transition points are really important.
they're really important. True.
Yeah.
True. True. So that's
One
that's
other
that's
thing.
the space I'm in at the moment. So talking to you was really, it was important. So when I saw your profile, the women, it was like, let me hear what she has to say. So I was pretty excited. And that's my take on things, basically.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
exciting. It's an exciting phase of life to be family planning and doing all that.
True, true. So we're getting there. The more I'm talking to you on motherhood, is hopefully one mother or someone becoming a mother can listen to this and maybe tapping into a little of the wisdom you've basically shared, you know?
That would be wonderful. That would
It's
be
true.
wonderful. I want to say one more thing that just came to me as well. When you have your children, Gilbert, they're just little sponges, and we can speak into those little souls like the most beautiful, empowering stuff. Like my kids, they do those acts of kindness, right? And I tell them, oh, they come and tell me their act of kindness for the day, and I go, oh, I'm not even surprised because kindness is your superpower.
Yeah,
And they just like I've heard them repeat it. They're like, no, no, kindness is my superpower. They say it to their grandparents or they say it to strangers. And what a superpower! Like to have kindness in their
exactly.
heart. They think it is them. They think that that's just how they roll. And you think, wow, it's such a responsibility, but it can be so amazing.
True, true. No, that's so cool. I'm learning. I'm learning. So we'll eventually get there.
Of
We'll eventually get there.
course.
So yeah, let's you play guitar. I can see a music instrument in the back of
I
it.
actually
Who's
that's my husband's guitar.
oh,
He plays I know. He plays guitar and piano and does all these amazing musical things. For me, no.
okay. Okay,
That's
so
fun.
so yeah, I think just to almost while we almost try to wrap up, I like to ask my guests this. What are five materialistic things? Not really in a bad term when we say materialistic things you can't live without. What are five things you can't live without? And you can't say your kids.
I can't say my kids.
No, you can't say your kids.
Well, that's obvious. That's fine.
Sure.
Material things I can't live without. Can there be nature? Is that fair?
No, no,
No.
no,
Oh,
no, no.
oh, Gilbert, you're killing me.
It could be
I
it could be what your what you said you swim. It could be your gear. What is it, you know?
okay. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
okay. So my walking shoes would have to be one.
Sure. Yes. Yes, that's
My
one. That's one.
my earphones would be the next one then.
Okay.
Um, I would, you know what? If I could ditch my phone, I would. Like my business runs out of my phone, but if I could go back to, I think they
Not
call them dumb phones or
yes.
non-smartphones, I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
100% do that.
Same,
I
same.
would absolutely.
Okay.
Uh, Post-it notes and pens would have to be it because you should see. I looked up here. I'm like, there's so many post-it notes that I just every
Okay.
time a quote comes through or someone says something, I write it down and I put it on my wall, and it is like some amazing piece of work
To
behind
look
this
at.
camera here where I just affirmations and like beautiful things. And you know, whenever you're feeling something, I don't know, a bit of a funk, I can read this wall and go like, no, this is like I've got an amazing life, and that gratitude just comes flooding back. So I'd have to say post-it notes and pens to be my 4 and 5.
Okay. 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 You're cheating there, but okay. Okay. That go that's
I honestly
one.
five.
That's
That's one.
give us yeah, that's one.
How
Give
many
us
am I up to then?
you're up to four now.
Up to 4. Okay, one more, one more.
Think about it.
Photo frames.
Okay, okay. Your kids, we that's almost that almost
Is
goes
that
back to
cheating too?
kids. But anyways, that's good. That's good. I like to do this just to almost get a bit of insight into the person that we have on the podcast, just to lighten the mood up after uh
Yeah.
indulging in so much wisdom. So that was pretty cool. So what are like give us your social media handles. Anyone wants to reach out, anyone wants to maybe get in contact with you, talk about your women glowing, the process, everything like that.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Well, you can find me at Willo Boniface on Instagram, and you can find me on LinkedIn or Facebook as well, or willowboniface.com. They're the places that you can find me glowing. And if you want to follow, especially Instagram, I'm just pouring a lot into that space at the moment and releasing those limitless beliefs and really changing some mindsets. Like I'm getting some really beautiful feedback, and there's a real community building there. So come and join us for sure.
Okay, okay. The
Thank you,
Insta.
Gilbert. I so appreciate it.
No, I hope you had a good time. I equally I basically I enjoyed the conversation, and this was very important to have you on, and it speaks volume basically to have you and then just have someone that's basically focusing on women because having to see my mom basically it's almost like I've seen the importance of women basically. I'm like a huge advocate. I'm like, oh, women, anything women basically. So it's like if you women can glow, hey, the better it is. I
Okay.
think, yeah,
Everyone benefits.
yeah, the better. If more women can glow, then the men might just follow lead. I
Yeah.
believe that. So thank you for coming on. This has been amazing, basically. Any final words maybe you'd like to give out for the women listeners that we have?
Ah, I don't
Just
know.
something.
Just something. Just I'm looking at my wall going, oh my God, this what
Okay,
could I
yeah, yeah.
choose?
Give us
I'm just
one. Give us one on the
okay,
wall.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read you a quote. I'm gonna read you a quote.
Okay.
I'm gonna pull it off my wall.
Okay.
I love this quote. Okay, it's called Our Deepest Fear.
Okay.
Our deepest fear, and it's by Marianne Williamson. Okay.
Okay.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightening about shrinking so that other people won't feel unsure about you. As we let our light shine, we consciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And I think that pretty much sums up glowing. So thank
That,
you, Marion
that,
Williamson. I love your quote and I use it
that was
often.
okay. That was a great way to end this. That was a great way to end this. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. And
You're so welcome.
sadly, there's always like a time limit. I have to give the episode so they don't go beyond and my listeners don't walk out. But this was great. And if we have something, I'll probably have you on if I have like another woman join one of the episodes, just so a woman can also engage into a conversation with you. So
I'd love
this is,
that.
yeah, so this is not the first and last. Hopefully you can give us your time and have you on a few more episodes when we need you, basically.
Yeah, for sure, Gilbert. I'd love that. I'm writing a book as well, so maybe when I've done that, I can reach
Oh,
out.
great, great. That's even better. So this is the end of the episode. Thank you so much for coming on. And yeah, that's how we close it for now.